Hello and welcome to DC Figures and Collectibles, our guest portion. I'm Tyler, again joined by Scott as always. And our guest, our very first guest of 2020 is Evan. And you can find him at Faux Toy Shop, Photo Y Shop. That makes it a little easier. And noticed him within the last 2 weeks and liked what I saw. Has a lot of cool stuff, a lot of variety. And it's nice to have someone that has a sporadic way of shooting and doesn't just shoot one thing over and over. So I figured it would be nice to get to know Evan and hear his story. So Evan, first of all, we'd like to thank you for taking time out of your day and joining us. And then we'd also like to hear a little bit about your story. What initially maybe got you into your love of comics and action figures and this whole thing that we enjoy doing, and maybe how young you were, if you could remember your first introduction to anything comic book or anything like that.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I'm kind of an old dog now. I'm about ready to be 39 next month, believe it or not. So I learned to read at a pretty early age, and my father actually had a nice collection of comics. So by age 6, like, I was reading quite a few comics. He would buy me my own. Like, we'd go to the liquor store or something, and I'd pick out a comic. So they were kind of kiddie. And then, honestly, like, first...
Did he give you a 40 to go with it? Or was it just a comic?
Yeah. In a sippy cup.
Okay.
I can handle the 40 by then. But, then he introduced me, actually, to DC. So that was, like, my first, like, introduction to, like, real comics. And, yeah, I grew attached to Batman mostly out of all of them. My father's favorite was Superman. And I remember reading these DC comics. And as I was getting older, it's funny, one of your most recent posts with the Justice League, and I said, I think I see Crisis of Infinite Earths behind him. Yeah, I distinctly remember reading those and like my mind just being blown when, like, the Flash died. You know, I was like, oh my God, they killed off Barry Allen, and it really blew my mind. And I was young. I was probably 8 or something around then. And, so that was pretty heavy for like an 8-year-old, to watch the superhero die, and then, and it's like from there, I guess it kind of just got darker as I dived more into Batman. I started, I remember after Crisis of Infinite Earths, like, I still remember the cover for Death in the Family, that Batman comic. I mean, that came out in 88, 89. I was like 7 or 8 years old. And that, just the cover alone, seeing Batman holding a dead Robin, it was just like, it's like, man, what's going on with these comics? As a little kid, you're watching all these heroes you became used to and accustomed with, and they're dying off. And then I read that, and that blew my mind. And I remember too, my dad telling me that they actually, for that comic book, as it was coming out series, they actually had fans call a 900 number.
Yeah.
To decide whether or not Robin would live or die.
Mad, that is, isn't it?
Huh?
It's mad, that is. I think the Titans did the same thing with their Robin recently as well. They had fan vote on if they kill off Jason Todd or not. I mean, I think it's brilliant. It's such a good idea because fans at the time were like disconnected with his Robin, weren't they? So they decided to kill him off, which is fun.
Yeah, it really gets fans involved, and
yeah.
Everyone hates Robin.
Yeah.
And then shortly after that, the Tim Burton film came out in '89, and I remember going to the theater and seeing that with my dad and just being completely blown away. And there was just like this huge to do about like the dark suit, like Batman had gone, all black, and aside from I think they added the bat symbol on his chest with the yellow oval, which was like in Justice League in like the 60s and stuff on the older comics. But other than that, he was all black, and that it was considered a dark version of Batman, even though I think looking at it now, Tim Burton, he definitely didn't take it too seriously. He kept everything like lighthearted, but it was still dark. It was Batman,
What was it
running
like?
from the cops.
Yeah.
What was that like back in the day? Because I feel like that, from what people that have sort of grew up through that, it just seems like it's very relatable to Joker. Whereas at the time, it was criticised, it wasn't the right movie, and all this, and then you kind of get to it and you think, oh, it's actually amazing. It was perfect, done fantastically, even though everything was sort of set up to fail. It did well.
Yeah, I mean, it was just like unlike anything anyone had ever seen at the time. As far as like the storyline goes, they adapted from like the Red Hood Joker origin, where like Batman created Joker, by throwing in the acid and stuff like that. And watching it for the first time as 8 years old, I mean, it was mind blowing. So for the time, like, especially even when you watch it now, it's like definitely nostalgic. I got a lot of love for it and stuff, but I'm not sure if it really holds up to everything. But I still love the movie. But yeah, being there when it was released and everything, it was just I don't know. I guess it was a surprise success. They weren't expecting it to do so well, but I mean, it just blew open the box office. So yeah, it was a good experience.
It just amazes me like how well that movie was received, because like at the time comic books and stuff were pretty frowned upon from what I've heard and read about, and Michael Keaton was slated as a cast-in. Tim Burton wasn't the right director for it, and it did so well.
Yeah, I mean, well, Michael Keaton, yeah, he was definitely typecast as a comedian and stuff, and but you put on the cowl, and I don't know, he's still today like a lot of people's favorite Batman.
Yeah,
he really is. Yeah, I have vivid memories of that. Good times with my father and I.
Now, from there, is that when you started thinking, okay, this movie's awesome, where can I get some figures?
Oh yeah, I still remember the figure line that came out from that movie. It was funny, like Batman, his black suit, he had his belt, his utility belt would had this extracting line that you could pull out.
I remember that one. I had that too.
And the funny thing is that like the Joker that came out looked more like the comic book Joker than Jack Nicholson. They didn't really try. Maybe they just didn't have the technology. They didn't try to really make him look like him. But he had like this. You could fill him up with water and squirt his little flower, and it would squirt water out. But they did make his sidekick Bob, which was like my brother's favorite.
Oh, so cool.
Yeah, you're my number one guy. It's just, but yeah. So
we need a NECA version of him.
That would be pretty cool. Yeah, that would be bring him back. But yeah, I remember those toys. I wish I still had them, but my brother and I put our toys through hell back then.
As you should.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
it's a duty as a kid to do that, especially toys like that.
Yeah.
Now, did you ever go through a period, maybe through like high school / college, where you kind of tried to hide your love for that kind of stuff?
Well, I would say 89 going the 90s. I graduated high school in 99. So I like I said, I think my love for comics just went to like darker places rather than like the all the normal DC stuff, even like with Batman. After the movie came out, I went back and I checked out Frank Miller's Batman. I don't know if you've read that.
Oh,
he's like in his 50s, and that's pretty dark. And then after that, there was like Nightfall, which Christian
breaks
Bale.
his back.
Yeah, breaks his back, and and I remember like sort of Azrael taking over, and like that was really weird. Like it started to lose me there because it was like villain that they're trying to turn into Batman, and so that was strange. But then like I liked the crossovers a lot when it came to Batman. And like I'm trying to stick to Batman here. I was getting involved in other comics and stuff, but like I enjoyed the first Batman versus Predator. That was
Batman
pretty
versus
cool.
Spawn.
Yeah. Well, exactly. I was going to say Spawn. I really got into. Like, I remember
Savage Dragon.
Yeah, all those Image comics, man, really drew me in. But and then the Batman Dracula was pretty heavy too. I really enjoyed those. But I would have to say, like, I can't even pretend to be as like up to date and in the know as you guys right now, because like by the time I was a senior in high school, like I was too involved with like Girls in Trouble, and then right out of high school, actually formed my first band, and so essentially from like 18 until my early 30s, I was playing music. Most successful, my last band, but yeah,
what instruments do you play?
I could play guitar, bass, piano, harmonica, but for the bands,
that's awesome.
For the bands, as a singer, and my latest work is streaming on any network. You could check it out. We had a fun run, but we just got older, and it's like
nothing lasts forever.
Exactly, and so like I kind of put music behind me. I started my own business, and
nice.
but ultimately that's what drew me to photography, and then now toy photography, because like as an artist, I constantly feel like I have to create something. If I'm not, I'm going crazy.
I'm jealous that you could play an instrument. I wish I could do that.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome, especially the guitar. I'd love to play the guitar
and piano, man.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like I'm a virtuoso or anything, but I can hold my own with the chords.
That's cool. But now, when did you discover Instagram? And when you first discovered Instagram, did you start out a personal, or did it just naturally, did you go straight to toy photography?
No, I started a personal profile, and I was getting more and more into photography. People were like, "Oh, that's a nice shot. That's a nice shot. This and that." However, I've always been into collectibles, so I still had like a decent collection. Most of my stuff is still sealed because I got a lot of old toys that are still sealed. My father taught me the value of things.
That's smart.
But I was like, you know what? Like, I've got all these. Still had quite a few collectibles, just on display and stuff. And I was like, I'm gonna try like taking some shots with these guys. And at first, it was just with my phone camera, and then I started looking on Instagram. I was like, wow, this is like a real community here. Like, this is like a big thing. And like, I was blown away at everyone else's work. It was so inspiring. I was like, oh, this is so amazing, because you've got all this nostalgia, all this pop culture, just mixed into this goulash of beautiful photos all over the place. And I was sucked in. And that was November last year is when I took my first toy shot.
Nice. So you've grown a lot since then.
Yeah, I mean, I hope so. But I look at my earlier stuff, and I thought it was cool at the time, and now I'm like, oh man, yeah.
We can all relate to that.
Yeah. You've got to start somewhere, haven't you? No one's going to jump in and instantly be brilliant. And I think if people do jump in and think they're instantly brilliant, that's probably where you're going wrong, because you don't improve. Then you've always got to look at yourself and think, okay, how can I improve, and just keep going. Like, just be open a little bit to criticism.
Of course, with everything in life,
Yeah.
But I try to challenge myself with one shot a day. I do keep busy with a lot of other things, but I like to really push myself, no matter, even if I'm on the go, just get one shot a day.
So what motivates you to continue? Obviously, we talked about like continuing to improve and stuff like that. But when you wake up, do you suddenly think, right, I want to do a picture of this today, or do you sort of think, oh, that's a pretty cool figure, it just catches your eye and you want to take a picture of that, or do you kind of plan it out? Or
yeah, it's definitely a little bit of both. I've got ideas going through my head all the time, even when off doing other things, or like you lay down to go to sleep, and all of a sudden you're like, oh man, like that'd be a cool shit.
Do you write them down when you think of them? Because I know I do that.
You know what? I should, but no, I don't. I probably lost quite a few ideas because I don't. But it gives me an excuse to keep collecting figures as well. which my wife, Lucky, is very understandable about, because
Oh, nice.
I've got quite a few going, and just bought a new car, so I've slowed down on purchasing lately, but I still pick up probably one figure a month or something like that, but I've got so much to draw from as is, not to mention like a shelf full of stuff I could open up if I wanted to, but yeah, I really enjoy it. I like the openness of it all, how you could create any scenario you want and mix and match things from all over the place. It's great. I love it.
So just for a bit of fun, what figures are you thinking of opening next?
Well, geez, I've got like an entire shelf. Let's see if I can. I don't know if you can see that
That's
over
nice
there.
setup.
Yeah, I mean, it's
This is perfect. So for you that are listening on audio, this is your perfect excuse to go watch on the YouTube version.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's showing off his beautiful collection.
But that's primarily like all NECA stuff. So
Nice.
I've got like every like Jason Voorhees release that they did, a bunch of Predators and Aliens, Gremlins, and Freddy Krueger, and Terminator 2. I've got some San Diego Comic-Con exclusives. Although I couldn't resist, I had to open the Superman Comic-Con.
He's a great figure. He's a great figure.
Yeah,
You're lucky you got him.
Yeah, I had a friend who lives in San Diego who goes every year, and so I just had him pick him up for me, which went well. But so if I was to open one, I don't know.
Put him on the spot.
I was actually thinking of cracking open Wes Craven's new Nightmare clothed Freddy, like retro Freddy.
Oh, okay.
Just primarily because I wanted to use his sweater with Wolverine. Just kind of do a play with the claws and in the sweater. I was kind of thinking about doing that. However, I did just get the They Live 2-pack, so that might be.
I saw that recently. It looks sick.
Yeah, I think that'll probably get open next.
So you're speaking a lot on NECA. Is that where you would say that's your favorite figure line, or you've gravitate towards?
Yeah, I mean, they definitely got me back into collecting a lot. Like when I saw their Predator figures and stuff like that. And this is before I started taking photos. I was like, oh, that Predator is awesome. I gotta get him. And the aliens.
So you've always been a true collector. You're not collecting just to take photos.
No. I've always collected. I've got some old stuff in the like old McFarlane figures and stuff that like
the no articulation stuff.
Yeah, like I've got like Akira stuff, like Kaneda, Tetsuo, and the bike. Akira. They're all still sealed. Like I've
those are probably pricey.
Yeah, they are.
Those are probably very pricey.
Yeah, and like Jimi Hendrix one that's actually worth a bit. Where he's at Monterey setting his guitar on fire. I mean, stuff I would love to shoot, but I just can't bring myself to open. Still, it's just
I understand.
Yeah. But NECA definitely got me back into it, and then Diamond Select and Marvel Legends, So when it comes to the DC figures, I find it like, I don't know, like I like
it's a mixed bag.
Yeah, it's kind of like I wish DC had as solid a line as like Marvel does with like Marvel Legends. I don't know. Would you recommend a line that you feel is just as solid? I know McFarlane just put out a new line that's getting good and bad reviews.
So far, I would say so good from McFarlane. I mean, there hasn't been that much breakage. I've seen more breakage over like DC Collectibles recently, but with all their new waves, as soon as people open them, they just break. So I don't know. We have to give a lot of time to see if McFarlane continues to do this level, because of course they want the first round to look well. But let's see if they can string it out. But
Yeah.
to piggyback a little bit on what Scott asked you earlier, when you wake up or whether or not you're always thinking about the photos and all that, when you do a photo, is it like an end of the day thing for a time where you relax and chill and throw on some music or a program, or is it something that you like to do right away in the morning, like he asked? Or what do you tend to do your shooting?
No, yeah, aside from weekends, yeah, I've got quite the regiment through the week where, you know, I'm running a business and I've got to get a ton of work done before I'm free. And then I usually find around between 3 and 5 o'clock, I've got an hour or two to myself. So that's when I try to make it a point to get something done. Sometimes I'm in more of a rush than others, and, you know, I'll just set up like a back screen shot or something rather than pulling out stuff like extreme sets and, you know, setting everything up. Would be nice to have like a garage where I could keep everything set up so I don't have to like continue to set things up every time I want to use them. But yeah, so I would say I make it a point to take at least an hour a day for myself, you know, to like get some shots in. And, you know, it helps, you know, it's important for everyone, I think, to use. Go ahead.
No, that was, I think what you're saying is true. Yeah, it's important for everyone, especially if it's something you like, to set a time of the day to at least put it aside and try to do it. Yeah. In terms of a shot like this, is this all practical? Is there, what's going on here?
Okay, so his web, yeah, that is actually a piece of rope that came with Kevin McAllister from Alone. So, and then, yeah, I just posed him, and then I used some wiring to prop him up.
Nice.
And took the shot, and then just with remove object, just removed the wiring that was holding them up. And then I did apply some filters. But other than that, yeah, it's just him. You know,
so you're not you're not a super diehard where that you have to have everything 100% practical. You're not opposed to adding some effects here and there.
No, you know, I like both styles. There's like my most like photo. There is no effects. It's all lighting, and I used a vaporizer to create smoke, and that's of NECA's Alien Queen. And Extreme Sets actually put that on their website, had it up there for quite some time. They sent me a free like diorama of one of their big ass buildings, which was really awesome. Yeah. But yeah, the NECA Alien Queen used their set, and yeah, there's no filters whatsoever. It's all done with like mini LED lights that I got, cheap little things too. That it was like a 20 pack off of Amazon for like $20, and it's got like
20
all these little color scales you can use. And yeah, I mean, I haven't invested in like lume cubes or gels or anything like that, you know. I would like to, but at the same time, I'm like, oh well, that money could be used on more figures. So yeah, I mean,
do you know what? I can genuinely appreciate that. I think it's boring spending so much money on equipment sometimes. I'd rather buy a good-looking figure instead. I always said like the equipment should be the last thing that you spend your money on. Get good figures first, and you know, get something that people are going to enjoy seeing, and then do all your equipment is the last thing once you've got what you want. Because it's, you know, at the end of the day, the figure is what you're taking the picture of. It doesn't matter what you're taking it with. If it doesn't look right, it's not going to, you know, be good.
Yeah, exactly. It's, you know, I mean, you could invest all this money in equipment and still not be happy with your shots. You know, it's more so like try to find a happy medium with what you got, and then, you know, grow from there. You know, if like, I mean, you never know. Like I said, Extreme Sets sent me a free diorama that like goes for like $70 normal price. You know, and you never know. Like someone could see your stuff and want to like, you know, promote you using their stuff. And I see artists all the time getting promoted by like Lume Cube and everything, and you know, and their shots are beautiful. There's nothing bad to say about them, but those lights are pretty pricey. You know,
Yeah. It's just like evolution, really. You know, if you give the first man on earth a computer, he wouldn't have a clue what to do with it. And it's the same with toy photography. You know, you just give them a $2,000 camera, they don't have a clue what to do with it.
That's funny.
So you've got to build your way up a little bit and evolve your page and evolve your skills.
Yeah, I was taking all my shots on my phone for quite some time before I was like, you know what?
I still do that.
Me and Tyler, the exact same. I've only recently used a proper camera. It's just so much easier just using a phone. I think the convenience is just so much easier. Using a camera and downloading it sometimes is a chore and nightmare. I hate it when it turns into a chore because it is a hobby at the end of the day.
Yeah, the phone is so much more convenient, and with today's camera lenses on the phones too, like it's hard to tell the difference, you know, in a lot of cases.
The lens you've got on your camera is ridiculous. The lens is like the sharpness that you can get on pictures is ridiculous.
Well, I did finally break and go buy a camera, you know, a few months ago. Yeah, I mean, I haven't been using my phone since then, I have to admit. But I had a Best Buy card, so it was 0% interest for like a year. And I just picked up like the Rebel T6 package that they had, so I mean, I had a year to pay off like $500, and it comes with 2 different lenses and stuff. So I was like, you know what? Yeah. So yeah, I've definitely been using that camera ever since I got it. It is great, but yeah, you do have to take time. You got to load it from your camera to your phone or whatever device you want to post to social media and stuff. But they make it pretty easy with NTC now. Like I don't know if you guys are iPhone or Droid, but I just hold my phone up to the side of my camera, and it beeps, and then I'm able to scroll through everything, all the pictures I have on my camera right on my phone. Download. You can use your phone. Yeah, you could like set your camera up on a tripod, and you could use your phone as the shutter button, like so you could take pictures from your phone off your camera. So it's definitely, the package is really worth it. You know, even Costco has it. You know, it's like the beginner camera. You know, and it's a pretty amazing tool, I gotta say. I like it a lot.
Now, where do you, because you spoke that I sent you one, how are you finding and how are you liking the Extreme sets?
You know, I like them a lot. I'm waiting for their new line that's supposed to be released this quarter. I don't know if you saw the stuff, like they got a bar and a cabin and
a couch.
Yeah. You know, not to downplay or anything, but like Hobby Lobby has like miniature furniture like that too. It's surprising how expensive that stuff could be though sometimes, you know.
Yeah,
just the mini furniture. But I like Extreme sets because it turns your home more so into like a studio for shooting the figures. You know, you can mix and match things, and I've got a few of them. I've got like the loading dock, the spaceship one. I've got 2 of their buildings. One of them they sent me free, their alley, and the sewer, and then the haunted house one, which
nice.
I really like using that one for like, because I've got a lot of horror figures, man. That's another thing I grew up watching is horror movies like crazy. My mom worked for a company that transferred film to VHS. And so she would just get all these VHS videos of like all the Nightmare on Elm Streets, all the Friday the 13th, and like, we weren't supposed to, but we were kids popping those in and watching them. Yeah,
that's
grew up.
Now, because you were a kid of the 90s, I'd say more so than even the 80s, even though you had some years in the 80s. We like to ask, hopefully you watched it. What are your top 3 favorite Batman the Animated Series episodes?
Yeah, I was actually going to bring it up when I was saying that I can't pretend to know as much as you guys when it comes to all that, like cartoons. Let's see, I remember, gosh, I'm trying to remember the exact name. I remember Batman Beyond. I remember the Dark, was it No, that's not it.
Mask of the Phantasm?
Mask of the Phantasm. Yeah. And again, that's like vaguely in like the back of my mind because I saw that when it first came out, you know, and
Dang, you're lucky.
so
You got to see all the good stuff when it first came out.
yeah, I mean, it's weird like seeing everything that's going on. Like I was even trying to follow like, you know, the new DC shows like Arrow and the Flash and stuff like that. And I was quite a few seasons into both of them, and then it was like Supergirl
around season 3, it gets rough.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was cool, still, you know. But then like Supergirl came out, and it was like more crossovers, and I was just like, I don't have the time, you know. I don't have the time to keep up with all these shows. It's just, but I hear they're still doing well. Are they getting involved in like the Crisis stuff? The shows?
Oh yeah,
You
they
guys
just
know?
finished. They just finished the actual their version of the Crisis on Infinite Earths. I would say that's worth the watch for you because I stopped watching Flash and Arrow around season 3, and like you, it just got overwhelming. And even still, with all the new stuff, they're still adding like a new Superman Lois and a new this. So they're still adding more and more. So I would be overwhelmed if I was trying to watch all of it. So
yeah. And now they're supposed to be doing a Kingdom Come Superman series, which is I think that's definitely not going to happen.
What do you think?
Go
ahead.
I was just going to say, there's not even that much material. It's just one comic book. How could you make a whole series on it?
Yeah, they definitely won't do that. Having just announced another Superman series, and everyone's been berserk saying, "Oh, there's going to be another Superman. It's going to be great." Like, it's not going to happen. Like, but if you're DC, why would you do that? It's like self-sabotage. Everyone's going to look forward to seeing him playing Superman, and not the
other guy.
Not the other guy, the tiny Superman. He's so small. He's so small for Superman.
You know, he complained and he said he wants a new suit after you keep calling it ugly. Yeah, so he is getting a new suit.
He's so small. He needs to hit the weights and get a new
suit. Mini-me.
Yeah, he's such a small Superman. Looks more like Superboy.
So those two picks that you said so far are pretty good. Mask of the Phantasm, considered one of the best Batman films ever. And Batman Beyond, people are craving a live action version.
Yeah. And other than that, I remember the TV show, the animated TV show, which was fun to watch when I found it on TV, you know. But trying to remember what year that was. You know, like I said,
92 is when it first came out.
Yeah, so I was like in junior high, and yeah, it was you
were preoccupied.
Yeah, but I was still reading comics then. I was still reading like more so like graphic novels and stuff like that. I was really into, you know. That's why like I brought up like Batman, Dracula, and stuff like that stuff. That blew my mind. I don't know if you have read that one.
I have not heard this Batman Dracula, but you could rest assured I'm going to be YouTubing it right after we're done.
It sounds such.
The only one I know is the cartoon of the Batman versus Dracula.
Oh, no. So. No, you gotta read this series, man. It is so good. It is so good.
So
it's dark.
Great.
It's dark.
I think it's great, like because I grew up not reading any Batman comics. Still to this day, I haven't really read any Batman comics. So you've seen adaptations of films based on comics, like the Dark Knight movie, Red Hood movie, all that stuff. But I think it's great that obviously you've watched less TV than I have, and I've read a lot less comics than you have. But we still love the character equally as much, and that just tells you how good, you know, DC can tell a story when they properly put their mind to it. I think it's great.
Yeah. Speaking of which, do you think like they're putting so much in their shows because their shows seem to be doing better than their films? Or, I mean, how do you feel about their films, if you don't mind me asking?
Mismanaged, very badly mismanaged.
Yeah, but I have always wondered how they go from those Nolan films, you know, which were like so well done.
Yeah, DC just listen too much to criticism and just. And they've watched too many Marvel films as well, and now they're trying to copy off what Marvel were doing. Luckily, they've moved away from it recently, less so Shazam and Aquaman, but certainly with Joker, they moved away from that. And I think the Batman movie will move further away from that as well. I think Aquaman. I was thinking about this the other day. I think Aquaman was a bit shit, and that's probably not going to go down well with some people.
I think with Aquaman, it was a lot like the newest Star Wars, where the plot and everything moves so quick, and you're overloaded with so much information, your brain didn't have time to even think. Oh, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
You're just like, oh, that's cool. Oh,
yeah. And they could get away with a few jokes with Shazam because that's the character. Everyone knows what you're going to get with Shazam. Yeah. But
That,
with Aquaman,
at least it made me laugh. Yeah.
Yeah.
Shazam.
Yeah.
Made me...
It's like with Aquaman, you've got this mighty king, and you've got Jason Momoa, and he's there making pee jokes. I'm just like,
dude, bro.
No, it just doesn't. It doesn't really fit the narrative.
When they cast him as Aquaman, I was like, he would have made it so much better. Lobo, what are you guys doing?
Yes, that's like perfect Lobo.
Yeah.
He's already. That's what he wears every day. Is the Lobo clothes.
Exactly. I was like, come on, guys. Like, but
for me, I feel like the Dark Knight trilogy, that's like a separate, it's like how you like graphic novels, and like some of the most iconic Batman stories that everyone knows aren't even canon to comics. So for me, I think of the Nolanverse as an Elseworld, where it'd be like, that would be if Batman was the most truest to exist in this world. Like that would be the most realistic. That'd probably be how every villain would be. Then I feel like they're trying to go more comic with this new one, but they didn't know what vision they had. They didn't have a solid vision. And when you got Zack Snyder trying to do something dark, and you got people trying to make it Marvel and all that stuff, it's just a cluster. So
then you got Ben Affleck dipping in and out of commitments, and he's directing, then he's starring, then he's quit, then he's coming back, and then he's quit again. So
then he's shit.
The new Batman supposed to be the guy from Twilight, right? Whatever that guy's name is.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
I'm hoping it's good. But what did you think about Joker? Did you see Joker?
Oh yeah, I love that movie, and I felt it's weird. I was talking to other people. I felt he gave Heath Ledger a nod towards the end of the movie too. If you remember when he's in the back of the cop car, he doesn't stick his head out the window, but he like puts his head up against the window and kind of. I felt that was a real nod to Heath Ledger, and I think Joaquin Phoenix did an amazing job. I mean, the critics like that didn't like the movie, like it was. Yeah, it was like, you know what? Everything doesn't have to be about like superheroes running around and stuff. You know, like the Joker is a dark character, and you know they changed a bit of the story, but you know what? It's a great adaptation, I think. You know?
I think virtually every critic was criticizing the tone of the movie, like the sort of the narrative of the movie, and that's not the movie's fault. This is what the character's about. You've got to get past that and watch the movie. Don't criticize. And they were saying like it's going to incite violence and these riots and people running around screaming, waving their arms. Yeah.
Now, the other nod that I think that was a nice touch to Heath. Well, I don't know if it was purposely or not, but this is what I thought. I know if you ever watched the documentary, they showed that Heath Ledger locked himself in the apartment and he had like this diary. And that's and it looked messy and jacked up and scribbles and weird images. And that's kind of what his joke book looked like sometimes to me. It's like, that was like what I felt the little touch. So
that's a very good point. Yeah.
We might find other stuff later. Who knows? I know I'll be watching it again.
Yeah.
Now, do you hope that we get a figure from this? And if we get a figure, are you hoping your boys at NECA make it?
Well, there is a figure. I can't remember the name of the toy company.
Not a 12-inch, though.
Oh, the toys era.
He's not. Yeah, no. He's I think he's 7-inch, but he's like freaking. Yeah, he's super expensive. He's like $250 or something like that. It's like one of those really like high end. I'll look it up and send you a link because I have another friend. On
$250.
Yeah, it was like that was pre-order price too. So I mean, but the detail is just amazing. You know, all the different heads and stuff you could switch out, and it's pretty crazy. But my friend pre-ordered it, and he's waiting on it. So I'll ask him for the link.
For your custom, Scott, how much did you pay total? What is it, around $250?
No, I paid about 70 for the Mezco Joker. Probably all in about 110, 120 quid, something like that. So it's not that bad. The most expensive thing was just the Mezco figure. Other than that, it was all just little accessories and stuff, and just buying different hands for him, getting the head sculpt painted, that Vin Faith custom painted.
Even with postage and all that out the door?
Yeah, pretty decent, to be honest. Vincent
Okay.
did us a cracking deal, and that's the figure Tyler was talking about, just to give people an idea if for anyone watching or listening.
It's pretty decent for 7.
Yeah, it's not. I just see the bottom of him on my screen. But did you do all the painting and stuff yourself?
No, Vincent, who was at Vin Faith Custom, did all the painting of the head and everything. It was cast by Action Figure Customs, which is fantastic custom head sculpt account.
Yeah, well, at least we learned something new today from you, Evan.
Yeah, I will. Like I said, I'll send you that link. I'll get on it.
There's another thing. Is there on your main Instagram? Let me look. Is there any way you have a link to any of your music?
No.
No. Okay.
I kind of keep that separate, you know.
Okay.
But
I didn't know if you want people to check you out.
Sure. I mean, you could just Google us.
Okay. What's the name?
Called Hidden Amongst Us.
Hidden Amongst Us. Okay, that's not hard to forget. That's actually a cool name.
Yeah, and we were our Bandcamp should come right up. Also, like streaming should come right up if you Google us. And we were like a post grunge band, you know, when everyone wasn't listening to grunge. so
90s when it was out of style.
Yeah, I mean, we got compared to like Alice in Chains a lot.
That's good stuff
like that. Yeah, so it's you know.
So any last thing that you would like to plug or promote before we leave here and give our final words?
No, you know what?
Any way we can support you?
You know what? You're doing that by having me on, and I appreciate you guys giving me the plug and the opportunity. And yeah, it's a pleasure meeting both of you guys, man. I enjoy both of your work. I enjoy both of your work, and I think it's a great for the toy pick community to like communicate, you know, and share ideas and opinions, and you know, and something like this podcast. This is the first and only podcast I've ever done. So thanks for popping.
Awesome, that's fantastic.
Nice.
Yeah.
And again, for those of you watching, there's an image of his Instagram, and for those of you listening, it's at Faux Toy Shop, Photo Y Shop, and he is a great toy photographer with lots of variety. You're never going to get bored. He has anything and everything you could think of: horror, NECA, Marvel Legends. Like he said, we're happy that he came on. Scott, any last words for our guest?
Yeah, I wanted to give a shout out to the rabbit hole Batman. I never ever see anyone photograph that other than me about 2 years ago. So a shout out to that. I like that picture a lot. But
thanks.
Yeah, thank you very much for coming on. Really appreciate your time, and also appreciate Tyler for introducing me to you, which is fantastic.
Yeah,
I mean, this is what it's all about, man.
Yes, and like another thing, like what you said, I feel a lot better just being able to see your face and knowing who this is. That you're not just a bunch of toy pics.
Yeah,
there's a personality behind them.
It's funny. Someone else was just giving me shit for that today. Sorry if
no, we're all good.
But yeah, they're like, "There's no pictures of you on that." I'm like, "Yeah, well, just keeping it about the art, you know." But yeah, but yeah, thanks a lot, guys. I really appreciate it. Tyler and Scott, you know, I'll keep in touch.
Yes, and again, this has been DC Figures and Collectibles. Thank you guys for listening. Our numbers have gone up tremendously on YouTube, and the audio numbers about the same, but we appreciate all the support, all the comments, and we hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Tune in next week for another.